The first sound I heard behind the wall was breathing. Not loud, not desperate. Just slow, careful, like someone was trying very hard not to be heard. I remember standing there in the quiet hallway outside my wife's office, staring at a section of wall that shouldn't have moved. My hand was still resting on the edge of the bookshelf. I had accidentally pushed aside, and in that moment, before I even looked inside, a single thought froze the air in my lungs. My daughter disappeared 3 months ago, and somehow, someone was behind that wall. 3 months earlier, my life had been painfully ordinary. I woke up every morning at 6:30, coffee, shower, a quick glance at the news while my daughter, Lily, complained about having to wake up for school. Lily was 9 years old, bright, curious, and endlessly talkative. The kind of kid who filled every room with energy without even trying. And my wife, Rachel, she used to say Lily got that from me. Rachel and I had been together for 12 years. She was calm where I was restless, organized where I was chaotic, the person who somehow kept our lives balanced even when things got overwhelming. She worked as an office manager for a small design firm downtown. Long hours sometimes, but she loved it. Said it gave her purpose outside of being a mom. Our life wasn't perfect. No life ever is. But it was stable. Safe. Or at least, that's what I believed. The day Lily disappeared started like any other Tuesday. She left for school with her backpack half-zipped and one shoe untied, shouting that she'd fix it on the bus. Rachel kissed her on the head before she left. And that was the last normal moment we ever had. At 3:40 that afternoon, the school called. Lily never got on the bus. At first, we assumed a mistake. Maybe she went home with a friend. Maybe she stayed late for something. But by 7 p.m., the police were knocking on our door. Those first days blurred together in a way that still makes my chest tighten when I think about it. Search teams, phone calls, posters, interviews, questions that circled the same painful point again and again. Did Lily mention anyone unusual? Any recent changes in behavior? Anyone who might want to harm your family? Every answer felt useless. Rachel handled it differently than I did. While I moved nonstop, calling people, checking places, pushing the investigation forward, she became quiet. Not cold, just distant. I assumed it was grief, fear, exhaustion. I never questioned it, because Rachel had always been the strongest person I knew. Weeks passed. The search slowly grew quieter. The police stopped calling every day. Volunteers returned to their normal lives, but Rachel kept working. At first, I thought it was strange. How could she focus on spreadsheets and meetings while our daughter was missing? But she told me something one night that made me understand. If I stop moving, she whispered, staring into her coffee, I'll fall apart. So I stopped questioning it. Then, 3 months after Lily vanished, something small happened. Something that shouldn't have mattered. Rachel forgot her phone at home. She almost never forgot anything. But that morning she rushed out early for a meeting and left it, charging on the kitchen counter. I noticed it after she had already left. I thought about calling her office, but decided instead to just drop it off. Maybe grab lunch together. For the first time in weeks, the idea of surprising her felt normal, like something from our old life. Her office building was quiet when I arrived. The design firm only occupied the second floor of a renovated brick building downtown. Warm lighting, polished wood floors, soft music usually playing through hidden speakers. Rachel's co-workers knew me well. They had seen me during company parties and holiday events. "Hey," one of them said when I walked in. Rachel stepped out for a bit. "Oh," I replied. "Do you know when she'll be back?" "Probably soon." So I decided to wait. Her office door was slightly open. Inside, everything looked exactly how she liked it. Perfectly arranged desk, color-coded folders, a small framed photo of the three of us from a beach trip 2 years ago. Seeing Lily's smile in that picture made something twist in my chest. I set Rachel's phone on her desk, and that's when I noticed the bookshelf. It wasn't unusual for Rachel to have shelves filled with design, magazines and binders, but this one felt different, slightly angled away from the wall. At first, I assumed someone had bumped it, but when I stepped closer, I noticed something else. There was no dust behind it. The rest of the office shelves had thin gray lines where books had sat for months. But behind this one, clean, like it had been moved recently. I told myself I was overthinking, Grief makes you see strange patterns in ordinary things. Still, curiosity has a quiet way of pulling you forward. I placed both hands on the side of the shelf and gently pushed. To my surprise, it shifted easily. Too easily. The entire unit slid sideways on hidden rollers. Behind it was a narrow opening in the wall. My heart began to beat faster. At first, I assumed it was some kind of storage space. Maybe the building had old maintenance access areas. It wasn't a new structure. But as the shelf moved further aside, darkness opened in front of me, a small hidden room. The air inside felt cooler, stale. I stepped closer. "Hello?" I called softly. No answer, just silence. Then I heard it, a slow breath, barely louder than a whisper. My entire body went still. I leaned forward and looked into the darkness. And that's when I saw movement. Someone was sitting on the floor inside the hidden room. Small, curled up, hair falling over their face. For a moment, my brain refused to process what my eyes were seeing. Then the figure slowly lifted their head, and two terrified eyes looked straight at me. Eyes I recognized instantly. My voice barely came out. "Hey, Lily?" She blinked. The bookshelf was still moving when Rachel stepped into the office. For a moment, none of us spoke. The rolling sound of the shelf sliding across the floor seemed impossibly loud in the quiet room. I stood frozen beside the opening, my hand still gripping the edge of the wood, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might shake the walls. Rachel stopped 2 steps inside the doorway. Her eyes moved from me to the shifted bookshelf, then to the narrow gap in the wall, and finally they settled on Lily. Time stretched thin between us. "Rachel," I said quietly. My voice sounded strange, like it belonged to someone else. Behind the shelf, Lily had pulled her knees close to her chest. Her small fingers clutched the fabric of her sweater as she stared toward the doorway. "Mom?" The word was soft, hopeful. Rachel didn't run forward the way I expected. She didn't cry. She didn't even look surprised. Instead, she closed the office door slowly behind her. The quiet click of the lock echoed in the room, and that's when a feeling colder than fear began spreading through my chest. "Rachel," I repeated, my voice shaking now, "why is Lily here?" For several seconds, she didn't answer. She simply stood there, staring at the floor like someone carefully choosing their next step. Then she took a slow breath. "I didn't want you to find out like this." Those words hit harder than anything else could have. My mind struggled to catch up. "Find out." "What?" I asked. Rachel finally looked at me. There was sadness in her eyes, but not panic. Not guilt, something else, something calmer, almost resigned. She walked toward the desk and placed her bag down carefully, like this was any ordinary afternoon. Behind the shelf, Lily shifted slightly. "Dad?" she whispered. I immediately turned toward her. "It's okay," I said gently, kneeling beside the opening. "I'm here." She looked thinner than I remembered. Not sick, not hurt, just tired. Confused. My chest tightened. "How long has she been here?" I asked without turning around. Rachel's voice came quietly from behind me. "Since the day she disappeared." The words felt like the air had been knocked out of my lungs. I slowly stood and faced her again. "You're telling me—" My voice broke. "You're telling me our daughter has been behind that wall for 3 months?" Rachel nodded once. A heavy silence filled the office. "Why?" I finally said. It came out barely above a whisper. Rachel leaned against the desk, folding her hands together. "For the same reason you came here today," she said. I stared at her. "That makes no sense." "I know," she replied softly. It didn't to me either at first. Something about the way she spoke felt deeply unsettling. Not defensive, not angry, just tired. "You need to explain," I said, forcing the words out. Rachel looked toward the hidden room. "Lily," she said gently, "sweetheart, can you come out for a minute?" There was hesitation, then small footsteps. Lily slowly stepped through the opening, into the office light. Seeing her standing there, alive, breathing, real, made my chest ache in a way I can't fully describe. I wanted to hug her, to hold her and never let go. But something in the room felt fragile, like one wrong move would shatter everything. Rachel knelt down in front of her. "Hey, kiddo." Lily stared at her mother, uncertain. "Are you mad?" she asked quietly. Rachel's expression softened. "No," she said. "Never." Lily looked between us. Then her small hand reached for mine. "Dad, Mom said we were playing a secret game." The word sent a chill through my spine. "A game?" I repeated slowly. Rachel stood up again. "It started that way," she said. I felt anger beginning to rise beneath the confusion. "You told her hiding in a wall for 3 months was a game?" Rachel shook her head quickly. "No, that's not what I told her." "Then what did you tell her?" Rachel hesitated. For the first time since she walked in, her composure cracked slightly. She looked toward the office door, then the windows, like someone checking the room, and that's when I noticed something I hadn't seen before. 3 small cameras mounted near the ceiling corners. My stomach dropped. "Rachel," I said slowly, "why are there cameras in your office?" She followed my gaze. Her shoulders slumped slightly. "Because someone else has been watching this room." The silence that followed felt heavier than anything before it. I looked back at Lily instinctively, pulling her a little closer. "What are you talking about?" I asked. Rachel rubbed her temples like the weight of the past months was finally catching up to her. "The day Lily disappeared," she began quietly. "She didn't vanish." My pulse quickened. "She came here?" I frowned. "That's impossible." "The school said—" "I know what the school said," Rachel interrupted gently. "But Lily called me that afternoon. She said someone had been asking questions about our family outside the school." I looked down at Lily. She nodded slowly. "There was a man," she said. "He kept asking if Mom worked in the building with the red doors." My chest tightened. Rachel continued. "I told her to come straight here. I thought it would be safer than waiting for the bus. So why didn't you tell the police?" I demanded. Rachel's eyes met mine. "Because by the time she got here, I had already received a message." The words hung in the air. "What kind of message?" Rachel looked toward the cameras again. "One that made it very clear someone was watching us." My heart began pounding again. "What did it say?" Rachel's voice dropped to almost a whisper. "It said if I told anyone Lily was here, we'd never see you again." The room suddenly felt much smaller. "You kept her hidden to protect me?" I asked slowly. Rachel nodded. "I thought if I followed the instructions, whoever was watching would eventually leave us alone." My mind raced. "But 3 months? They never contacted you again?" Rachel hesitated. Then she shook her head. "No. Something about that answer didn't sit right." "Rachel," I said carefully, "if they stop contacting you, why keep Lily hidden?" Rachel didn't respond immediately. Instead, she looked at the office door again, then the cameras, and finally, at me. Her expression had changed. Fear. Real fear. "I didn't keep her hidden because of the messages anymore," she said quietly. A cold weight settled in my stomach. "Then why?" Rachel swallowed. "Because 2 weeks ago, the messages started again." My heart dropped. "What do they want?" Rachel looked down at Lily, then back at me. Her voice barely came out. "They said today was the day you'd finally come looking." The hallway outside suddenly filled with the sound of footsteps. Multiple, approaching the office door. Rachel's face went pale, and for the first time since I arrived, she looked truly terrified. "It's too late," she whispered. The doorknob slowly began to turn.